Okay, we pick back up here with the product rule, and this is first function times the derivative of the second function plus the second function times the derivative of the first function. So if we're given f of x to be 3x minus 2x squared, and we have 5 plus 4x. Now, if I didn't have the product rule, what would you suggest I do? Foil it all the way out and do it like we did before we learned product rule. Okay? Foil it out. It'll work. It'll be consistent as well. But now we have a rule that if we have one term times another term, that we can do this. So we're going to practice this. So we're going to do first term, 3x minus 2x squared, times the derivative of the second term, which our second term is 5 plus 4x, plus the second term, 5 plus 4x, times the derivative of the first term, which is 3x minus 2x squared. Alright, now we're going to actually just this step, and we're going to calculate the derivative portions. Okay, so that's setting up the product rule. First times derivative of second plus second times derivative of the first. I want to see this step in your paper, in your homework. Make sure you show this step and on a test, because one, that tells me that you know the rule. Alright, so what is the derivative of this term? Oh, just 4, good. So I'm going to have f of x, dropping my first term, just leaving it alone. We're only going to work with the derivatives right now. You told me the derivative of that in red is 4. What is the derivative of this one? What's the derivative of this term? 3. What's the derivative of this term? So it's going to be 3 minus 4x. Good. Alright, now at this point I want you to go ahead and algebraically simplify, so distribute or FOIL out anything and simplify. Let me pause it while we do that. Okay, so after distributing everything out, FOILing out over here, simplifying, adding all like terms, our first derivative is going to be this value. Okay, our next example is this. I want you to show your steps. So your first step, I want you to say first times derivative of the second term, this entire thing, plus this times the derivative of the first term. So let me see that step, and then you go through and algebraically simplify this and give me your first derivative. Alright, first times derivative of the second plus second times derivative of the first. I do want you to show this step, and then when you simplify, we just get 3x squared. Alright, our third example, f of x. Let's do a product rule with an exponential in there. So if I give you x squared e to the x. First thing you need to establish that that's product rule. I need you to see that as two terms, the first term and the second term. So when you set this up, you'll do first times derivative of the second plus second times derivative of the first. Okay, so that's the setup. We're going to calculate the derivatives in red only. So I have x squared. What's the derivative of e to the x? Just e to the x. Then I bring down e to the x. What's the derivative of x squared? 2x. There's not anything you can really simplify here or here just yet, but so you can leave your answer as is, or sometimes people pull the 2x out front so that just both the x terms are in the front. Like I said, this is a correct solution. Also, the other thing you may see is that what do they both have in common? E to the x. Sometimes you might see a GCF pulled out, so then that would just give you x squared plus 2x. Know that those are equivalent. you can give me this as your answer, or sometimes in the back of your textbook, if you see it with the common factor GCF pulled out, you may see that. They're equivalent though. Yeah, actually that was a good point. You can also take out an X, so you might see that, or what's another one if we took out all of the GCF would be X e to the X, so that would give us what, X plus 2? Yeah, so technically that would be the most simplified format of that, so if you took the GCF out. Okay, so next we'll have our quotient rule. And so when we have a function, it may help to remember what this saying. Let me give you an example first of all. So if I give you y equals 2x squared minus 4x plus 3, that's your f of x function, and your g of x would be 2 minus 3x. So this saying right here, that helps you remember quotient. So you take low times the derivative of the high term minus the high term times the derivative of the low term over the square of what's below. That's basically our rule right here. So let's see how that actually looks when I write that out. Okay, so low times the derivative of a high, low d high, so we're going to do derivative of the high term. So that's low d high right there, minus high d low, so the derivative of the low term, all of that over the square of what's below. So one more time, so it's low d high minus high d low over the square of what's below. Okay, so we are going to take our time. First thing we're going to do is calculate the derivatives this time here. So we'll have y prime equals 2 minus 3x. What is the derivative of this term? 4x minus 4, right? So 4x minus 4. Carry down this 2x squared minus 4x plus 3 term. What is the derivative of this? Just negative 3. Good. And it's usual that we're just going to leave this squared. Just leave it alone for now. Okay, now algebraically I want you to just FOIL these out, distribute this negative to all this term, and multiply. Just algebraically simplify the numerator and leave the denominator alone, and let's see what we come out with. Okay, so it looks like we're going to finish with this. These 12x terms are going to cancel, and then that's what we finish with. Alright, what if we have something like this? 1 over e to the x. What's your first suggestion to me? What can we do instead of doing a product rule right there? We can have a simple solution, right? What if we move this up and we rewrite? What can I rewrite that as? Y equals e to the negative x. Yes, now we can do the derivative of that. So y prime is just going to be e to the negative x times the derivative of what's in our exponent, right? So what is the derivative of negative x? Just negative 1, right? So y prime is just going to be that negative 1 e to the negative x. But if I have one that's like this, e to the x, 2x, it's not such a quick fix to do that, because if I move that up, I'm just going to have a term times another term. We have to do product rule. So it's no quick fix there. So we're just going to do quotient rule with this one. So I want you to set this one up. Low d high minus high d low over the square of what's below. Okay, so this is just our low d high minus high d low over the square what's below. We're going to work on just the derivatives here and then simplify this. Okay, so we simplified that, and then I noticed that there were going to be a 2 and everything, so I went ahead and multiplied that out so I could simplify a 2 out of all of them. This is one version of the answer. Of course, we can see that they have common factors in the top, but this is going to be our solution right here.